Hello, this is Taj McCameron for the ministry, and today we're talking about relationship and marriage prep. This is a fun topic, yay! Because I'm going to give you the process that I took when I knew in my life that I wanted to prepare to be married. So, I'm gonna say it like this, and I heard a business person put it this way, and now that I think about it, it's absolutely true. Marriage preparation is like preparing for a business, because in a way, you are creating a transaction, corporate transaction. Now, it sounds so wrong because you think about that when you think about celebrities and the fact that, oh, let me sign a prenup. Da, 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 da. When I'm talking about is the transaction like this. Think about your marriage like a business in the essence of when you prepare for a business, what is it that you do? You come up with the idea. Yes, I want to get married. You brainstorm. What is it that I want for marriage? What do you want mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, spiritually, and socially out of your marriage? What kind of partner do you want? Do not, let me repeat this. Let me take my glasses off so that you can see me. Do not sit up there and say, I want him tall, I want him chocolate, I want him this way, I want him. Are we adults here? Are we adults here? Are we adults here? Grow up if you're sitting there thinking that you're going to pray for that. Because let me tell you something, and let me make it clear to you right now. The enemy is listening to everything you say. And he gonna find somebody that looks like the perfectest, most finest package that you could ever ask for in a specimen of a man. It's gonna look like everything you prayed for. Tall, dark, handsome, this, that, strapping, fine, know how to put on a suit, this, that, and the other thing. And you just be like, I know that I know that I know that I know. I can't go any farther with that statement or I will not sound Christian. But some of us Christian women are having those moments as of lately. That ain't what you're supposed to be praying. That ain't the characteristics you're looking for. You're looking for mentally. Can he manage me when I am upset? Can I manage him when he's upset? Can I cover him in prayer when he's emotional? Can he cover me in prayer when I'm emotional? Is he going to sit there and listen to me when I'm emotional? Is he going to hug me when I'm emotional? I was in a relationship for 7 years. I used to get upset about things and he really wouldn't say nothing to me about my emotions. He hugged me a few times and all that. He was caring, but I'm going to tell you the truth. He more so tried to get away from me every time I got in that way in format. Every 2 to 3 months, he seemed to try to break up with me, and it always was around the holidays. Which I'm like, you trying to make sure that I remember when we broke up? Because it was always around a holiday. Like, I couldn't understand that. It was like, I can't even explain it. It was like a sadistic thing. I don't even know. I thank God for having friends that I'm willing to listen to, because my friend called me and told me some information about him, and it prevented us from getting into an argument, which would have set up for the next time he was going to try to break up with me again. This was the type of stuff that we dealt with the whole time we were in a relationship. And when I knew that he was trying to back off me, I was like, In hindsight, I should have just let him go the first time he did it, within the first 6 months. But point being, he was immature. When you have a mature, grown man, he's going to be able to sit and withstand the things that you need emotionally, mentally, be able to maintain and handle you. And these are the things that you need to pray about and pray into. Spiritually, where is his spiritual life at? Does he believe in God? The problem that I had in my last relationship, the man didn't believe in God. He was complete and 100% atheist. He didn't believe in God, not one bit. Now, this was the last relationship I was in. Let me let you know, that was over 10 years ago. Okay? So, I ain't been in a relationship in over 10 years, and I've been walking with God solidly for 9. And I believed in God during that time frame. That's why when I realized that he was dealing with some things, I started praying. And as I started praying for him, we used to get into some horrible fights. I'm like, where did this come from? Because I was praying for him. And when I started praying for him, he started acting out because he was not my spouse. And you got to know where their spirit man is. And they got to be walking with you. Now, sometimes the Lord may, and you got to get absolute certainty from the Lord. Meaning you better pray, that if the Lord sends you somebody that is not walking with God, that means that they're a prodigal, and they either are coming in and you're supposed to walk them through the process, or but he's going to use you to be the one to lead them into their salvation. But he may also lead them to you so that he can introduce them to you, and then he'll pull them away. I have seen many relationships, more than I can count, that have, what ended up happening is the man met the woman. They went through their experience. Because they weren't both on the same page, they were fighting and back and forth, and the enemy was dealing and spiritually all up in them. And what ended up happening is that the Lord separated them. Some of these people, they've been separated 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, so on and so forth. And they've been separated and waiting on reconciliation because the Lord has been telling them they're going to reconcile with their spouse. Now, I don't know about those people. I am not the one to give anybody any recommendation, and I have to honestly say I would never say that you should do this, because some women have been standing for a relationship and the other person has gotten involved with someone else, engaged to someone else, and actually married them. And because of the fact, and I was listening to a minister say this the other day, God honors covenant. So if that person makes a decision to come into covenant with somebody else, God will honor that. But there is a but, and this is where the waters are very treacherous. But don't ever hold your breath for this, unless the Lord is literally, you're seeing him press on your heart, stand. If he's saying stand and you come to him, you gotta really know that if the other person gets married, if he says stand still and see the salvation of the Lord, you gotta stand. Because sometimes, in rare cases, will the man realize what he did wrong, and after marrying said person, he will come out of agreement with it, divorce the person, and marry the person he was supposed to marry. Because he will realize what he did. And when he comes into the realization, he has to back out. But men have this tendency. I don't know why y'all do this. I swear I don't know why y'all do this. You get involved with somebody. You realize they're the wrong person. But then you're going to slowly back out. Slowly back out. Back back out. And sometimes when they slowly backing out, it could take them anywhere from 6 months to a year to get back out that situation. I was listening to a song the other day. Avant and Nicole Scherzinger, No Longer Have to Lie About Us, where the guy Avant was singing about, oh, I know this situation is messed up, but could you wait for me? I'm gonna get rid of her. It's like, dude, why you let that happen? Why do men do that? They get the other person and they hold on. It's like, hold on. My ex did the same thing to me. We had broke up and wanted to get back together with me, but had somebody on the side, and that should have been the sign instantly. But I wasn't following Jesus at the time. These are all things that happened before I followed Jesus. He sat up there and said, hold on. He waited a month to come back to me. He was like, yeah, now I'm good for you. I'm like, why do men do this? Don't do that unless the Lord himself. And when I tell you, if the Lord is telling you that this person is your person, this is what you have to do. And listen to me carefully. If the person is already married, because some of y'all got crazy obsessive gang stalker, obsessed type fatal attraction stuff going on with you. You got a mindset like that. Curse that sucker at the root, because that's a Jezebelic spirit, because you don't need to be operating in that. You got to make sure that you are not operating in that you are not praying witchcraft into these people's lives, because y'all be thinking that you women of God and be praying witchcraft prayers into men's lives. Curse that stuff. That ain't a God. Pray the Lord's will over these men's life. You have to pray over them like they are your brother in Christ. And you have to allow the Lord to do the work. The hardest thing in the world that you will ever do is find out who your God-ordained spouse is. And know that's your spouse. And see them acting like a daggone fool on their side. They be acting like a whole fool on their side. And you gotta sit there and like, let me not pray no witchcrafty prayers, because what you'll do is you'll start praying for them to come to you. And that's not of God. You have to pray the Lord's will over their hardest prayer you will ever pray. I pray that the Lord's will happen in their life. And if this is not, listen to me carefully, if this is not for me, Lord, I declare and decree, I relinquish it to you. I surrender it to you. I allow your will to be done, that you will do whatever it is that you need to do in that person's life to prepare them for what they need to do. And if it is not meant to be, then I relinquish it and I let it go. I surrender it. That you can take it and respectfully sever the tie. In the name of Jesus. Leave me respect for this person. Leave me having respect for who they are, what they did, and how they did it. But cut the tie between that person and yourself. Okay? Now, for me, as it relates to my God-ordained spouse, I keep my covenant with the Lord maintained by prayer, fasting, supplication, so on and so forth to the Lord. And I pray over what is necessary. But I said that for you. That you have to cut that tie with that person if it ain't for you. If the Lord does not show you, and I always say, Lord, show me what I need to see so that I can make the right decision. Break anything. You got to break anything. Because you don't want to be holding on to a person because you're proud, because you operate in the spirit of Jezebel, intimidation, Leviathan, none of these types of things. Understand that. And I wanted to really hit on that, because there are a lot of people that will sit there and see this person that they think is their spouse. Understand it. They will see the person they think is their spouse. See them hook up with a whole nother person. And be sitting there like, this is still my spouse though. And I rebuke that. That's of the devil and all kinds of stuff. Because I have, on occasion after occasion, prayed for my God ordained spouse and said, look, if this man is not for me, Lord, I relinquish it back unto you. I relinquish it back unto you. And you better tell me, Lord. Because if you do not, I will cut the silver cord from this person. Tell me or I'll cut it. Just let me know and I'll cut it. Because you got to be that in line with God. Some people won't do it because they don't want to let go of the human being. They don't want to let go of the person. Because he's fine. Why am I going to let him go? He's fine. Fine is not worth the warfare you're going to have to go through if you marry the wrong person. Don't even. Them incubus and succubus spirits and all the demons that they dealing with, and you got to deal with their demons, and because you're not the person's ordained spouse, you can't handle their demons, and it's just a mess. It's a mess. It ain't worth it. It's not worth it. So that's just the beginning. You got to understand that God is going to prepare you to be the wife to match the husband that you are ordained to be with. It is but a little thing for God to find your husband. He will pick him the second you ask him. You just need to be ready for him. God already has ordained the spouses that he designed and designated for each person. Most people don't ask for them. Because 9 times out of 10, whoever they are out there focused on, sinning with, dealing with, I have never seen a scenario where the two people where they were operating in sin and God came, the woman done came to God and sat up there and said, Lord, I give my life to you. This is all my life. And they really start following the Lord, that their spouse or the person that they with start acting funny. Now, if they weren't in a marriage covenant, they're going to see them act funny. And the Lord will turn around and say, let them go. And these people will sit up there and cry and whine and sit up here. Jesus, don't let me leave him. Why do I gotta let him go? Let him go. Because if you don't let him go, you realize that you are keeping that man from his ordained spouse. And the reason he acting foolish in front of you is because he ain't supposed to be with you. There's a man that is so much better. And the catch-22 to that is this. The character of the man that you are with is more than likely almost identical to the man that you're supposed to be with. But this is like the demonic opposite. But you gotta let go of the one you're with to get to the one you're supposed to be with. That's the catch. Because the person that you're with ain't gonna get you there. But you gotta trust God enough to let him lead you. And in some cases, he'll tell you to let the person go, and it'll be just like the other cases that I was talking about, where he will separate the two people for a period of time while he works on you and he works on them. And if they're willing to walk with God, he will bring them back into your life. But if they are not, he's going to send somebody that is the actual person that he ordained for them to be with you. Your marriage is not, I repeat, your marriage is not just love making, cooking, cleaning, being a mom or dad. It's finances, it's lifestyle, it's blending if you are going to have a blended family, if you're going to adopt children, whatever that's going to be. What your children will learn from the both of you. It's communication. It's how your kids will learn to treat each other by watching you treat each other the way that you treat each other. You need to have a relationship with the man that will be a good father figure and teach your daughters. You need to have a man that should treat them well by how they treat you. And how you can see that in how they treat their mother. how he will treat his sons. If you are dating a person or in a relationship with a person, go around their family. See how they treat their nieces and nephews. See how caring and loving and all that they are with the smaller children in their family, and vice versa. Me, I'm very loving and caring when it comes down to children. Now, some people have this weird thing where they're loving and caring with other people's children, but at the thought of having their own children, they want to have a heart attack. It's like, I'm the type of person that I got to get to know you. I got to get to know the spirit on you. I got to get to know your children, because your kids may have like this sweet, kind spirit. And I've seen so many children since I've been walking with the Lord. This one little girl, she was adorable. It was a friend of mine's friend's babysitting child. And the child that she babysit, when I tell you, when I looked at that little girl, she reminded me of me when I was a kid, because she had the same color hair as me. She was my same complexion, and she was so adorable. And see, this is how I know that the Lord has prepared me for the season of having children. I keep running into kids that look like me, and I'm talking about little girls, and I'm like, oh my goodness. I'm talking about from the hair to the complexion to everything. I'm like, okay, God. So you got to have that man that's going to be that kind of covering for you. That they are seeing their marriages in the past, your parents, your grandparents, the generations that stayed together. Now, the catch-22 to the generations that stayed together, they kind of stayed together, and I'm going to tell you the truth of the matter. Most of the time, 9 times out of 10, it was a financial security thing. And I learned part of this as well listening to Anointed Fire. A lot of people would marry and get the financial security of their spouse, but they weren't married because they loved the person. They would turn around and they would marry the person, have a bunch of babies, especially in the olden days. They would turn around and have 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 10 kids. And the female knew that she couldn't take care of all those kids by herself. So she would remain in the marriage throughout the length of the children's rearing, all the way up until all of them were 18 and over. And she would stay in the marriage. And because of the times that they were living in, they would stay in the marriage and stay all the way through the end of the marriage. I was listening to somebody tell the story about their grandparents. And they said that their grandparents stayed married all the way up to the time they were like 80 years old. And said, we getting a divorce. And then people were like, wait, what? What? All the kids are like, what? What you mean? Oh my God. How come you getting a divorce? What you mean you're getting a divorce? And they finally were honest with their kids. It's like, we hate each other. We absolutely hate each other. We do not like each other. We don't love each other. He been cheating on me for years. I've been cheating on him for years. We've been separately living in the same space. They had their side pieces, and they would come back, and that's that open marriage foolishness that you see young people talking about today. From the devil. From the devil. Absolutely not. When you get married, it's supposed to be you and your spouse. It's when you bring other people into your marriage is when you run into problems, because there are going to be fights, arguments, and the spiritual ramifications are ridiculous, because when you are spiritually dealing with somebody else, there is a spirit spouse that has a spiritual jealousy over you that could literally, and I lie to you not, I heard another minister of the gospel say this, that the spirit that is connected to you and in covenant with you, if they step out of the marriage, the person that they step out on the marriage with is in danger. Because that spirit, and if that spirit is actually operating in a Jezebelic spirit, narcissistic spirit, that spirit, God has the right to smite that spirit fully and completely. Now, we all got free will. We all have the right to make decisions. But when you are in covenant with the Lord and you break the covenant of the Lord, if you have a praying spouse, and most, sad to say, there's a lot of Christians that do not pray over their marriage the way that they should be praying. They are, what you call it, you got Piccadilly Christians, and then you got the Christians that they pose as Christians, meaning I go to church, I pick up my Bible, I got a 300,000 page Bible that I carry around with me in my car. I pray worship music, I praise and all this kind of stuff. I do all of the motions, but there's no fruit. Because their marriage is going straight to hell in a handbasket, and they are not covering their marriage. Their husband's acting crazy, their children are sinning. This is one woman, Lord Jesus, I hope that you cover that poor woman. I met as a friend of my friends, and let me tell you, this is why you need to cover your marriage. This woman is married. She has 3 teenagers, a small child that's about 2-3 years old, and a grandbaby from the baby child that she had, meaning the 15-year-old that she had gave birth to a baby who's now maybe 2 years old. And these children thoroughly come into the house, lay around, cuss her out, treat her like she is their maid, and if she don't do nothing for them, they will call her all kinds of names, walk around the house any kind of way, inappropriately, in front of their father. When I tell you, no, this is an example of what not to allow happening in your family. And no. Because, for one, not allowing the man to be the head of the household. She wants to take care of the kids. Now, granted, yes, she's supposed to rear and tell the children what to do, but the father is supposed to have a say in the discipline of the children, and she will not do it. So because of that, the house is out of order. So that's just an example of what not to allow to happen in your house. And on top of it, the house is a mess. Your external environment will reflect what's going on inside. If you're a mess and every person in your household is a mess, your house will be a mess. I'm going to leave that right there. But as an example, don't do that. Where we at in timing? Ooh, I only got a couple of more minutes. So, in today's society, you start seeing people have divorce and generational legal separations while staying married and living their lives with someone else in their home. This happened with somebody I know in my own connections, that they decided to stay together but call themselves married because they are living in the same household. Or separate lives as singles but live in separate homes, separate cars, separate relationships, separate lives, but never legally divorced. I know of people that have done that, and they are Christians. And I'm like, aren't you following the word? You're supposed to legally divorce the person, or else you're actually operating in sin because you did not legally divorce the person. Anybody you're dating within that time frame, you are legally cheating on your spouse because you are still legally married to the other person. And you cannot marry someone else until you divorce that person. But then, in some cases that are rare love stories. They got married, they stayed married 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70 years. Wrote love letters to each other. Saved them in boxes till they died. Their kids, their grandkids could read those messages on the papers. And it's just, those stories were such beautiful love stories. That's the love we all should aspire to standing in, for those are the loves that stand the test of time. Anything worth having is worth fighting for. Fight together and don't fight each other. When you get married, you have to learn to war, learn to fight and disarm each other's demons so that you can run in your marriage together, or else you will be coming against each other. Do not allow the devil place or space to destroy or to interfere with your marriage, in order for you to have and be built in a lasting relationship. So, with that being said, this is Taj McCameron. Until next time, much love, faith, peace, and blessings. I love you dearly. Bye-bye.